Everybody, welcome to The Elevator Life, your #1 online resource for entrepreneurship in China.
Hey guys, good to see ya. Today we're going to be talking about something that anyone that wants to do business in China, any entrepreneur that wants to or is interested in doing business in China has to go through. And that's the actual going to China part. Okay, we receive a lot of questions in our private entrepreneurship community, Enter China, and actually through emails from followers of the show about culture shock and am I going to be able to make the move to China? Am I going to be able to get around? What's that going to be like? What are the top things I should know? So considering it's 2014 and a lot of people have China on their radars for this year, we've been getting a lot of emails. So we wanted to tackle this one first and foremost. What does it feel like? How do you deal with it moving to China or even visiting China?
Yeah. Anywhere you go, there's going to be culture shock. You're going to deal with culture shock, whether you're going from the US to Canada, or like China to another close country, Vietnam, if you will. But China is just a whole different beast. A lot of people in guidebooks, online resources, anywhere, articles just say China is a very, very different place for so many reasons, and we want to kind of bring those to light.
I still remember the feeling that I had when I first came here back 4 years ago. And I was with a group of friends even, okay? And we had already had a job. So I kind of really wasn't out on my own. But still, the first night I was here, it almost hit me like a train. It's like, the city's massive, okay? It's a big, big time place. And you almost feel powerless and you feel kind of on an island for a few reasons. First, you can't talk to, from my experience, I didn't know a word of Chinese. So you can't talk to anyone. So you kind of realize, whoa, if something happened, if I needed to have help, what would happen? Okay, you don't have a phone. So you almost feel, like I said, you're on an island, and that is really intimidating to a lot of people. And so if you're here on your own, it can almost be like, it can be hard to get help. It can be hard to talk to people. So like, you're trying to go somewhere, right? How do you go and talk to someone here in China that will be like,不知道, 我听不懂. Getting those responses when you're trying to navigate yourself, especially the first time in China, around the city, is very intimidating.
Super frustrating too.
Frustrating, yeah.
Seems like maybe even if they can't help you, it seems like maybe they won't help you with this kind of response. It's like, give me something here. I had a different experience, obviously. I studied abroad here, had a entry-level working capability of Chinese, but something I experienced a lot was even just the little things with how different the culture is, or dealing with, like we talked about, how maybe they don't have lines, or maybe they have a passive-aggressive culture way of doing things, of indirectly cutting you a line or pushing you to get on to the metro first. Any of these small things that even though I speak the language and I've understood the culture a little more, they're still really frustrating. And trying to think of not even being able to communicate on the simplest level would be, I can only imagine how intimidating that would be for most people coming here.
Exactly. I mean, this island, I love the island comparison for foreigners that come here alone, don't speak the language, because I mean, like all Asian countries, well, sometimes there's English, but it's in Pinyin, so you can't read signs, okay? You can't read menus, you can't talk to people, you don't have very many friends here, so you're isolated. So that's the first part. This is going to exist if you come here. Don't worry, we're going to go to the good part now. Okay, so when you've dealt with this like us have, and we've seen so many people go through it, the biggest thing to keep in mind is don't worry. Okay, a lot of the impressions that you get, that people don't want to help you, or that they're pushing you to try and get in front in line. It can be intimidating to go to a restaurant where you don't know how to speak the language. Oh no, should I do this? Do I feel awkward? Don't worry about that. Those are kind of false impressions. Yes, a lot of Chinese people kind of get intimidated. They don't know, a lot of them kind of do know English, but they're like, and maybe don't take that as an awkward sign, or don't let that feel awkward. They genuinely are nice people and they do want to help you. And I think that's a good part about it. Like, yes, you can feel on an island, but don't worry about that. Just push forward anyway.
Yeah, they're incredibly nice. And one thing I like to point out is I've seen a lot of foreigners here talking how Tim and I are talking right now. The odds of a Chinese person being able to comprehend a native English speaker speaking at a normal pace.
Yeah.
Come on. You have to speak slowly. You don't have to get loud, but slow it down or use more simple words, and then they can pick it up. And even what he said about going to look at restaurant menus. I went and got a haircut, I think last week, and I remember walking in there, I was like, I have to do the whole Chinese back and forth, and it is uncomfortable. Yeah, even being able to speak the language, making sure they understand it clearly, like a little here, a little more there, and they double check everything, so you want to make sure you're not confused. It still is, it's a task. Daily things become tasks, and I think that's the hard part that a lot of people have to adjust to, rather than walking into a grocery store, finding everything you need, walk in to get a haircut, tell them exactly how you want it. Even when you can speak the language, there's a little pantomiming, and it's just more difficult to do everyday things, and that does scare people, and maybe makes them a little more intimidated, but it does overall help them develop skills of living in a different culture, which are really important.
I mean, for me, the biggest thing to realize was, don't worry about it. Don't worry about these things that make you feel awkward and make you feel out of place. You're in another country. These are great people. That's the best way to go about it. Just know that this shock is going to come, and just take it right in stride. Yeah,
exactly. We know you're probably going to get here and stand outside a restaurant like, shoot, I don't know how to go in, or maybe all these Chinese people are going to stare at me. It happens. Deal with it, and the sooner you start dealing with it, the sooner you can learn to adjust with it and start to make positive steps to, make it easier.
Yeah, basically what we're trying to say is, you can do it.
Yeah.
Okay. When we're dealing with that question, what can I do? How can I do this? I mean, it's just one of those things that you gotta do. It's gonna be a great experience. You're gonna be a better person for having done that. The last thing I want to talk about before we end this one is the different cities. So the different cities that I've been around China, especially even from down to the taxi drivers, okay?
Yeah.
People, I think they have different characteristics. So, for example, in Shanghai, it's a different experience, a different kind of culture shock than coming to a place like Guangzhou, where the people have different cultures, they've got different history with foreigners, the different kinds of food that are going to be more or less alike from what you're used to eating. Each city is going to have a different amount of culture shock. But as long as you know that and you expect it, and you can take that in stride, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, so going to like Shenzhen, for example, modern city, you can say like Coco Park, and most of the taxi drivers can understand that, in English, and that's very cool. And if you expect to go to Chengdu and get in and say, I don't know, say like the Kapinski Hotel or something, there's no way they're going to understand, a really big landmark, and it just goes with the development of the city, what they will have and what they won't have, and you're going to have to do research into where you're going and how far along the city is, and prepare for that level.
Yeah, you're going to get lost, you're going to eat some crazy stuff, you're going to get pushed around probably, you're going to get cut in line, you're going to be safe. That's another thing. Don't worry, you're going to be safe. But I think that's it from us, guys. Culture shock. It's a very interesting phenomenon here in China. It's something that we all go through, and you can do it too.
Yeah, and you learn to deal with culture shock. You'd be surprised what parts of your life you can improve as well, because that's a skill and a mindset that you just develop, dive in, and you're good to go.
All right, guys. Have a good one, and I hope you are crushing your New Year's resolution still.
Exactly. Keep up. It's only been a half a month.
Cheers, guys.